harder you work, the luckier you get. So that's pretty much my story. And at that time, we did not have Wi-Fi, we didn't have YouTube. So I was just fascinated with the only gadget we had, which was a television. It was my honor to kind of be a part of their journey as they got married and entered the next phase of life. I worked in a corporate a few months ago, and I just find the Indian workplace is so it's so difficult for women to kind of survive happily. So many HR policies, which I think companies need to address to make it a better place for women in the corporate world. Be educated, be grounded. What you see on YouTube, on Instagram is not what it is.
Hi, Ambika, and welcome to the About Her show, a show where we get trailblazing women to share the story of their lives with us. To tell us
Thank
about
you.
you're welcome, to tell us about their successes, failures, ups and downs, challenges, all of that, so that not only do they get a platform to showcase themselves, but they also help us inspire other women. Women who are listening in, who have dreams, ambitions, but something is holding them back from following those dreams. And then, along with women, we also get men on the show, men who champion such trailblazing women because we believe that for a truly gender inclusive world, men and women need to be allies. Now, of course, I know a lot about you because you are a well known personality. And then, of course, I also read up in detail for this interaction of ours. So, it was that we had to have you on the show because you've done so many things, you've blazed so many trails, and you could be an inspiration to so many women out there. So, we really need to know your story and how you've been doing all that you're doing. So, once again, a very, very warm welcome to you.
Thank you so much. There's really nothing. I think it's just now that I'm older, I can look back and see that I was at the right place at the right time and I got lucky and I worked hard through it. And the harder you work, the luckier you get. So that's pretty much my story.
So, well, we'll look into this and then we'll see. All right. So, as I understand, you've worn many hats from business reporting to fashion anchoring. So, my question is that what first sparked your interest in television and storytelling?
It's very simple and sweet because I grew up in the 80s and the 90s, and at that time we did not have Wi-Fi, we didn't have YouTube. So I was just fascinated with the only gadget we had, which was a television, and I just wondered how television works, and it was something as simple that led me to wanting to join the media. And my parents listened to news every day, and storytelling was just part of it. I had grandmothers who would tell me stories, so I just think it was a very basic thing. It's storytelling, marrying the only tech gadget which was around the late 90s, early 2000s, which was a television.
So, my next question is so, what was the turning point that led you from hardcore business journalism to lifestyle and fashion programming? And did it feel like a reinvention to you?
Actually, it did not because I think in business, what I did was a lot of lifestyle business. And even though lifestyle and fashion comes across as a glamorous subject, but it is all interlinked. At the end of the day, everything is a business. So it really was not tough. Design is something, whether it is in fashion, furniture, buildings, architecture, is a subject I really love. And we all know that in the world behind design, commerce does exist. And so it was really simple for me.
Okay, so you just felt that it was kind of an extension of what you were already doing.
That's correct. Yes.
All right. So, of course, you were, part of the early lifestyle television wave in India when it was so, so new, right? So, over a period of time, how do you think the Indian audience's taste in fashion and entertainment has evolved?
I mean, I think it's evolved hugely because earlier you needed a mall, you needed an outlet, you had Ensemble, you had Ogan, which were perhaps the only platforms where you could go shop. You had Mango, you had Zara, but now thanks to the digital world, you can buy practically any brand from any part of the world, provided you're willing to pay the duty. And I think if you've got the right campaign, you've got the right, it just becomes so much easier. I was talking to a couple of designers earlier today who said that so much easier for them, for their clients to reach them from all over the world now. And while the fashion show caters to their local clients and they kind of immediately click pictures and say, we want this, we want that, thanks to the digital platforms, they can, customers from all over the world can kind of order so quickly and so instantly and so directly.
Right, right, right. So obviously, what you're trying to say is that with all this exposure, obviously the Indian
With
audience.
all the exposure, I think the world's become one. It's just so much easier to consume fashion, provided you're able to afford it. I think it's just become, the world has become flat. I mean, it's just so easy, as I said, provided you're willing to pay duty. You can shop internationally. International consumers can shop Indian brands. The Indian consumer is much more literate thanks to the multiple influencers out there. Because I think the current generation of 20 somethings and the HNI teenager, everybody's an influencer. So I think the awareness is much more.
Definitely. So that makes all the difference.
Yes.
Right. So if I remember your show Band Baaja Bride, yeah, it became
Yes.
a cult favorite. So,
Yes.
of course, you were part of it, you started it, it was your baby. So, my question is, what was the most fulfilling part of mentoring brides on such an emotional journey?
I mean, honestly, I think, I mean, they were all very strong women. They required very little mentoring from me. And I think their journeys were so spectacular because some of them had the means and some of them did not have the means, but they had the courage and the fortitude to be really successful and kind of, overcome all socio-economic problems. So it was my honor to kind of be a part of their journey as they got married and entered the next phase of life.
Yeah, yeah, I'm sure. So, you've also worked in Geneva with the ILO, right?
Yes.
So, what did that experience teach you about global communication and storytelling?
I think what it really taught me is that people are the same everywhere. And unlike India, where there's a lot of hierarchy in the corporate world, and there's a lot of, social bias. Because I think working with, I mean, I want to use your platform to say that I worked in a corporate a few months ago, and I just find the Indian workplace is so, it's so difficult for women to kind of survive happily. It is so male oriented. It is so misogynist. I just think it's really hard. So honestly, Geneva, I was so lucky. I worked over there in the UN and the ILO because our bosses would be like call us in. We were all a bunch of 20 young in our early 20s. They would all. I remember Obama was I think in the midst of. Was it Obama? And I'm forgetting who was it in 2004. So there was a lot of campaign conversation. Who will be the next American president? What are the policies they'll bring out? About life. People were very warm. They all invited us over, whether they were Italians working in the UN or whoever in our office. It was a very warm, uh, educational environment where everybody was like discussing world problems and unlike India, when I worked here, I was just like so amazed. I was so fortunate to work at NDTV, which was a very pro women organization.
Yeah.
But and it was when you go out from the real world, out of NDTV, the country really kind of hits your soul because you realize it's not a very pro women space. And Geneva taught me just to kind of talk to older people as well. If you have a great point of view, you expressed it. About communications. I had a great boss. She was Japanese American. So I think that Iranian boss, I think you came across from very bright, very motivated people from all over the world. And it was a great training ground because I had no idea what I would do in the future. So I was really blessed to be in that environment.
Yeah. So I guess, exposure, seeing a different world and meeting different kinds of people where, like you say, you're not like looked at only as a woman, but in terms of your capability, your ability, that really makes a lot of difference because, then you are like, it's more objective and it is fair also in a way. If you're only viewed in terms of who you are in terms of the gender, then it takes away, I think your feeling of self-worth or your belief in yourself. So I guess that was a very, very good exposure, right? Yeah.
Yes.
So, Ambika, being one of India's best dressed women and an award winning TV personality, how do you define style for yourself? And has that definition changed over time?
I mean, I think it's definitely changed over time. I just look at a trouser suit or a basic salwar kameez, which is well tailored, as or a band gala as a to-go outfit. Because as you in life, as you progress and you go ahead, you like how much can you collect, how much can you shop. You prefer jewelry shopping to clothes shopping. So in that perspective of style, it's really changed. I mean, I'm not a collector, I'm not a hoarder. I think you just need a few great pieces and you keep kind of wearing them again and again. It's all about comfort and structure. So, yes.
I think that's what happens as you kind of, I think, get on in years. This is one of the things that it happens that you don't want to hoard anymore. You just want those few classic pieces which you can kind of mix and match, make them look different each time, and be smart enough to do that.
Right.
So, of course, we touched upon this topic briefly in the earlier question, but now if you could tell us in a little more detail that what were some challenges you faced as a woman navigating the male-dominated space of business journalism early in your career? Though, of course, you were with NDTV also, so leaving that experience aside.
So I want to tell you, it's a question many people have asked me. I actually come from a very male environment. I was the first girl to be born in a family after four boys, and even my father's generation were all boys. So I was the first girl after two generations, and it was a very pro woman environment. My mother was a lawyer; she is a lawyer, and my aunts were also working. So my maternal grandmother worked in the University of Punjab. She was a master's. She taught English and she taught mathematics. So I've just come from a very pro woman environment. So there was nothing in me holding me back, telling me that I am not as good as the boys to begin with. So, and when I went to the work environment, I was so blessed. It was NDTV where all our camera people were like our backbone, So you never felt that, oh my God, I'm a woman. I've never actually. I have to thank everybody I ever interviewed. I've never ever felt there's a problem because I am a woman. So yeah, I unfortunately or fortunately never felt any of that. I never felt a bias, or if I felt it, or maybe even if it was there, it was never in my mind. I never saw it. So I was lucky.
So, even after that, you never faced it after your stint with NDTV?
No, but that was when I saw the corporate world and I worked there for like very briefly. I realized that I was in a very lucky space, and as soon as I joined it, I left it within 3 months because I realized it's not my cup of tea. I cannot change. There's so many HR policies which I think companies need to address to make it a better place for women in the corporate world. I mean, I look back and I think if NDTV was not such a pro women, such a comfortable environment. I sat so many times on a highway. I had lunch there. I was sitting on the dhabas. At no point did I feel unsafe. I've stayed in like the most random places, but I always felt safe and secure. But the Indian corporate world, a few months there, and I was just like, oh my God, the poor Indian woman who has to go out and work. I think HR policies really need to be in place. I think HR really needs to wear a cap where they're kinder to women. They make it a better work environment because, and I think a lot of companies don't even, there's a whole Indian concept of you have to sit in office 11 to 7. A lot of people find loopholes and they kind of disappear for a few hours and come back. And, but I just think they have to kind of be with where the world is and come up with better work practices for both men and women, but I don't know if that will ever be done because our society at the base of it is so male dominated. As I said, I'm blessed not to come from there or have been there, but it does exist for the rest of India.
It does. It does. All right. So, moving to another show of yours, I'm Too Sexy for My Shoes. Now, this show did win, critical acclaim, but was
Yes.
there ever any pushback from traditionalists or skeptics about covering fashion so boldly?
Never. Again, I was always, I mean, I look back at that phase of my life and I'm like, I was so busy and so hectic. Nobody told me personally. And I was always so busy doing the next thing, the next story, the next trend, the next piece of fashion, going to Banaras, going to Chennai, going to Pondicherry. We were just on such a roll. And at that stage, design in India, that was a time when Gaurav Gupta came into being, Amit Agarwal was starting off. There was just so much happening that I think at no point, even if somebody felt like that, and even if they discussed it, it never came. I was so busy that it never came to my notice. Nobody told me. So
All right.
everybody was very pro the stories you were covering. It was all very, very positive. I think we were the first ones talking about it. And so, yeah.
Okay, good to know that. All right. So, from your time in front of the camera to now running your own YouTube channel, right? How do you see the role of digital media in empowering women's voices today?
While I think YouTube does definitely empower, I mean, everybody has a voice, everybody is a journalist, everybody is a digital voice. What scares me is going ahead with AI and, how is that going to impact all of us? But I think, yes, YouTube has been great. Everybody has a voice, and why not?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. All right. So, like we spoke earlier, you've mentored so many women, through the bridal shows and even your fashion content. So, what is your message to young women who are trying to find their confidence or sense of identity? What would you like to say to them?
I would say be educated, be grounded. What you see on YouTube, on Instagram is not what it is. It's not, it is curated. I'm sure people do not wake up like that. And I think people need, especially if the kind of stories I hear, the addiction on tech, the addiction of, iPad, phones, the gram. For the young people, I think they need to kind of distance themselves. I was reading the father of AI's. Mr. Altman, he has a young child and they live on a farm, far away from the bustling world. So they're living on a farm. The child probably has a very organic life on a farm. So I think we must remember to use tech for our benefit, and what we see is not always what it appears. And I think also I've heard of so many stories where AI, young kids kind of use AI and morph things around, which kind of destroys the lives of their co-students, etc. So I think the whole generation needs to be really careful about, respecting other people's emotions and lives while using AI, because once something exists in the digital world, it is not going to go away. So I think there's so much responsibility for both men and for the young women out there. And yeah, that's my message.
All
It's a
right.
scary world out there. So, yes.
It is. So tell me, growing up, who were some of your biggest influencers or mentors who helped you shape your career and values?
I mean, my first boss was Manvi Dhillon, and she was amazing. She was so strong and cool, and still keeps on giving me life advice. So she's definitely been like a mentor. My mother was, she's done so much. She's been a lawyer. She's done her masters from JNU. She's done her Sangeet Visharad, which is a degree in music. She's done a degree in Bharatnatyam and Odissi and Kathak, and she's really on top of world politics. And so, I mean, I've had all these people around me who've told me you don't need to like sit around and faff, like make the most of your life and your time, and work hard. And sometimes I used to be like, this is not doing well. I was just constantly told to be positive. And my father, who's now passed away, was also so encouraging and so helpful at every roundabout in life. So I was in any part of the world. I remember going to Brazil, and when I entered the hotel in Brazil after a very long flight, my parents called on the landline of the hotel that, hey, how are you safe, what are you doing? So they kind of it just felt like a very small world. So it wasn't really mentoring, it was just their support. And I remember, and my life was really fast paced. And I remember one of my bosses told me that remember to be grounded because it's not going to be like this forever. And they were right. And I am very grounded. So it's great.
Good to know that. And finally, if you could go back and give your younger self one piece of advice at the start of your career, what would it be and why?
I would have said maybe I should have quit and opened a digital business sooner because I think I was just so led by passion and, the time while I was working hard that I could have maybe after 10 years quit and done something else, which would have, benefited from all my experience. Because now there's just so many fish in the pond. And maybe, had it, I should have been wiser about being an entrepreneur perhaps at some point.
All
But
right.
now, sadly, I can't go back in time and give myself that advice.
All right. Okay, so Ambika, while we've come to the end of the conversation, we do have the rapid fire round, which is five quick questions and five quick answers. Are you ready for that?
Absolutely.
All right. So the first one, TV studio or YouTube set, which one do you prefer?
TV studio,
Okay. All right. The next one, power dressing in one word.
trouser suit.
All right. The next, your go-to outfit when you're having a bad day.
I just go for a massage.
Okay. All right. Next, one fashion trend you wish never existed.
I've actually hated the mermaid lehenga.
Ah, okay. All right. And the last one, the most memorable bride, if you remember, from Band Baaja Bride.
The most memorable bride. There was a bride we had who was a fruit vendor's daughter, and she was an engineer. And I just absolutely loved how positive she was. And there was this other bride who met her husband through shadi.com. And I just found her having such great clarity and being so cool. And my first bride from Band Baaja Bride is somebody I'm still in touch with. And I hope she watches this, called Rubina. And she was a CEO and now she has multiple businesses. She's just really, really cool. And so I met her in Goa recently. She runs a beautiful home, and apart from the other work that she does. So, yeah.
So good to know that. So thank you. Thank you
And,
so
I, and the one person from Band Baja who I still adore, and the show would have never happened, is my director, Deepshika,
much.
who works. She and I used to work together. Like we had to wake up at like 5 in the morning and work, or keep shooting till 3 in the morning. So she was a great pillar of support, and because we worked together really well, and we had a wonderful chemistry. Because you need a great team to have shows like Band Baja Bride come alive.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's so true. So, what should I say? Lovely conversation. Great talking to you. And thank you so much for being on the show.
Anytime. Thank you so much.
Thank you for tuning in to the About Her show. If you enjoyed this episode, there's plenty more from where that came from. Our previous guests have shared some amazing stories, so be sure to catch up on past episodes. To keep up with our inspiring conversations and to never miss an update, hit subscribe, rate, review, and share the love. Follow us on social media for some great content, and don't forget to check out our website www.aboutherbysangeeta.com for stories that resonate, inspire, and empower. Know a remarkable woman or an inspiring man blazing a trail? We'd love to hear from you. Drop us a note at web.abouther@gmail.com and let's bring their story to life on the About Her show.